Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Blitz. We're going to get things started right away between the Jackson Indians and the Festus Tigers.
One, for me being first year here, it's obviously a program that's had a rich tradition. So stepping into a good situation, two really tough games out of the gate. We learned a lot about ourselves. So it's just been a process of growth every week and trying to get better. So pleased with where we're at, but excited to finish out the regular season tonight.
We've consistently gotten better each week this season, which is, obviously the goal. Biggest thing is just kind of finding an identity for ourselves on offense, which we feel like we've done. Obviously tonight will be a huge test to that statement. So, we're excited about playing a really, really good opponent who's going to be prepared, play hard, do it exactly the way you want to do it. So, for us, a great measuring stick before district starts.
Jackson, as soon as the ball's set, they're ready to go. Hand off to Hampton. Hampton's going to go around the outside, inside of 5-10. Give him 6 on a 2nd and 1 play. Takes it the other way, 9 yards to the house. Field as he hits Edwards out in the flat. So call me crazy, but that's a 12-yard TD pass from Cunningham out to Edwards. So now makes the score 7-6. 2nd and 11 from the 13 into the corner. Pass is caught, and that is a touchdown with 13 and a half seconds left. 2nd and 11 from the 13. That will be a touchdown pass from Fox to Kai Crow. So Jackson could try to take their time with this, suck a little more time off, but there's a screen out into the flat. That wide receiver screen goes to Blaine Harris for 21 yards.
It's a touchdown there for Festus.
Hampton in the backfield. They're going to give it to him. He goes up and through once again. On a 2nd and 3 from the 5. 5-yard touchdown run by Jalen Hampton. His second one of the evening now increases the lead to 27-7. Yeah, that fast-paced offense. I mean, outside of maybe seeing Hillsborough, I know Seckman can kind of get close to that speed, but I haven't seen anybody else, right, at least that we've covered, that runs the plays in the manner that right, Jackson does. And whenever I saw them on film, literally I was just thinking, if anybody has seen any film on Jackson from the Festus side, I would just spend all week just running about 4 or 5 different plays, but just doing it like in sprint mode, just to get an idea of the level of speed you're going to be seeing, because I thought he actually dove in on that, but they're going to try it again here. Edwards, now he gets in. So they'll try that again, and with 9:15 left to go in quarter number 3, that will be Jackson Indians up 28-13 with Indians. Here's Fox, going to go up top and just drops that right into the cradle of Kai Crow. 2nd and 20, they get all 35 yards and take that to the house to make it a 34-14 lead. Festus Tigers, Fox. He's going to keep his own number, and he will dive into the end zone from 1 yard out to increase the lead to 41-14. Years ago, that will bring it to an end with the Jackson Indians winning by the score of 42-14.
Good morning and welcome to another episode of Upon Further Review. It is week 9 and we will recap this week's games. We'll also talk about next week's games, which is the first week of district playoffs. And then we'll also crown a player of the week along with some honorable mentions as we bring in our panel here. Matt Bates in the middle and Mr. Jeff Whitener on the right. Matt, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Wrapping up the regular season, and now, the exciting weeks of football lie ahead, and can't wait for me, you, and Jeff to break out our carving knives and dissect these brackets coming up.
There you go. Win or go home from now on. Jeff, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. The world's best boss is doing just fine.
Look at that. How about that? How about that? Well, talk about bosses. Let's talk about some week 9 results. and we'll talk a little bit here about the Jackson 42 Festus 14 game, and we'll dissect that a little bit here, and we'll start here with Mr. Matt, since you're on the call there.
Mr. Ray was in the booth with me as well, but Jackson, Class 6, they got bumped up from 5 to 6 this year after winning state Class 5 last year. This look on paper is what it is, but I tell you right now, Festus defense, when you look at Mason Shermer with his 10 tackles, Brady Nolan with his 14, when you got guys combining for 26 tackles, that means one thing, guys. It means that your defense was out there a long time. And that's what the Festus defense was. Aiden Fox and company, they were slinging it and bringing it. Of note, though, TJ Altenthal, one of the, I guess their number one wide receiver, he had a hand injury early in the first half. And so did Hayden Bates. But to me, the player that stood out was Hayden Wessel on defense for Jackson for me after going through number 27. And Ray and Jeff, I'm going to make a comparison here in just a second, see if you agree with this. Hayden had 8 quarterback pressures, a quarterback sack. He had 11 combined tackles, and he had 3 tackles for loss. Now, when I was looking at the Jackson defense, if this is the way Lafayette or Marquette's defense last year with Alex Bray handles things, I could see this guy being a beast, imposing a lot of threat to Seckman if that gets to that Class 6 matchup that we would want to see, that he could bring, because what he did is he was basically what you would call the wide side defensive end, meaning that wherever the ball was at on the hashes, he would line up and he would cover the farthest hash. And if the ball was in the middle of the field, he moved to nose guard and then created havoc up the middle because there was 2 wide sides of the field to work with. So to me, Hayden Wessel is a big key to defense, much like Alex Bray was stopping Rubel last year in that Marquette-Seckman game, Jeff.
Well, and it illustrates too, Matt, not only the strength of that young man, and he is a great player, but also the Festus offensive line dinged up right now. That in week 8, they lost their right tackle to a knee injury. He's out for the season. They had to move some guys around on the offensive line, and I think it showed a little bit in that game. Yes, Jackson's defense was great. It was everything advertised, so to speak. But it really illustrates Festus trying to get some things in place now before this opening round of the playoffs and get some stability in that offensive line.
I totally agree, Jeff, because upon further review of the game tape, I happened to notice that they moved their center, they moved him from center out to left tackle, and number 58, who's not even in the program, was their center. And whenever Wessel moved to nose guard, I mean, he created all kinds of problems for that. And yeah, and I would totally relate that to those issues with, the patchwork they have to do on that offensive line.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome to Friday Night Blitz here on live stream STL South. We are live from Don Burris Field, home of the DeVerg Cavaliers. Our matchup tonight is between the Bayless Broncos and the Bishop DeVerg Cavaliers. 4th and 9 here. And a handoff, number 24 runs backwards, almost a horse collar tackle, and he cuts back. He got into the end zone for a touchdown, 12-yard run. Was that Elijah Freeman, or was that
It looked like Elijah Freeman to me.
45 here. They got to get to the 30 for a first down. Masters rolls out to the right. Oh, wide open, hits him in stride. Number 3 cuts it back, breaks the tackle. He's going to take it all the way to the house. Keenan Thomas. Beautifully designed play and execution. Strike quickly. 4 wide receivers to the bottom, to the top. Masters drops back, wings it. Hits number 18. He's going to take it to the end zone. 35-yard touchdown pass. don't know. Will Masters call his own number here? Masters does. Up the middle. Touchdown. Fake handoff to Ashawn Pickens, but Masters is like, I see a seam and I'm taking it. 8-yard line. The 3 in motion, takes the pitch. He's working off the left side. He's got blockers. He cut it, and he'll take it to the house. I thought he was going to step out of bounds, but he did not. Keenan Thomas. They got to get out to about the 43-yard line. Quick slant out to Bradford. Bradford fumbles. Picked up and going to take it to the house. And there's that man again, Keenan Thomas. Completed pass to Bradford. Knocked the ball out. And then Thomas, right man, right place.
Not unexpected. We kind of thought the scoring would come out of the gates. It did not. It started a little bit later in the, at the start of the second quarter. But once it got rolling, we really have seen Masters and company, primarily number 3 Thomas, as you mentioned, just really kind of stealing the show tonight. The game. But now show the talents of some of your other players.
Third down, high snap. Masters rolls out to the right, throws. Thomas hurdles towards the end zone, and they will give him the touchdown. So 10-yard touchdown for Thomas.
Thomas's hands, maybe a couple of the other running backs.
And just like that, Masters flips to Thomas. Thomas lost in space, jumps back in the middle, and he's going to race for the end zone once again. Touchdown, Thomas. Wow. 44-yard run. And then reverse field. Play was designed to go to the right. He's like, I have a feeling if I go back down the right side or the left sideline, I'll take it to the house. Past the 45 for a first down. Craig hands it off, and Bolden breaks a tackle, and he's got a foot race. He's down the sideline. One man can catch him, and he will stumble into the end zone. Touchdown. Wow. A 57-yard rumble for Bolden, and dives at the end after the defender almost caught him. Almost down to 2 minutes to go in the ball game. Handoff, Thomas working off the right side. He broke it, and he's going to take that one to the house as well. He just did a little jump cut and then found a seam and just darted to the end zone. Unbelievable. And that will be the ball game. 54-12 our score. The Bayless Broncos defeated by the DeBerg Cavaliers in a very impressive senior night performance by the DeBerg Cavaliers.
It is now time for our Upon Further Review Player of the Week, and we have none other than Keenan Thomas from the DeBerg Cavaliers. Keenan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, and yourself?
Great. Man, Player of the Week and then some, I should say. You probably prepped a pregame meal before all of this, because what I'm about to put on that was given to me information-wise is just pretty unbelievable, especially for 1 week here. So, Keenan Thomas, Player of the Week here. You had 10 catches, 187 yards, 4 touchdowns, and that was just receiving. But that's not all. You had a scoop and score touchdown. You had a rushing touchdown along with that, 6 touchdowns on the night. And I'm getting some more information here. You are the number 1 wide receiver in the area in reception yards with 1,170. And you're the only wide receiver with 1,000-plus highest yards per catch for wide receivers with more than 40-plus receptions. And then you probably cooked a post-game meal as well, right there, Keenan?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Take us through the game. I want to hear how you thought the team played, and take us through the game and give us your thoughts there, boss.
In the beginning of the game, we wanted to come out fast, come out strong, put some points on the board, and that's exactly what we did. We started scoring. Our defense was good. Yeah, we kept up with them. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to shut them out early, take away all the hope early, and that's exactly what we did. And I'm very proud of our team for not giving up during the moments of the game where it seemed like it was just going downhill for us, and we just didn't give up. And I'm very proud of my team for that.
Yeah, I got to see a little bit of the tape, and first quarter was pretty even, as far as the scoreboard was concerned. But it looked like you guys were trying to just kind of get out of that first gear. But once you got out of that first gear after that first quarter, it was all smooth sailing after that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So take us through this season. I know you played last year and this year. It's day and night, I'm sure, in performance wise. But DeBerg, it's been a long time since they've had 3 or 4 wins on a season. But right now, you guys are riding a 3-game winning streak. Could possibly be 4 because you're playing Bayless again, who you beat this week. You got to play them again next week or this Friday here. But we'll get to that in just a second. But take us through maybe the growth that's happened in the last 2 years.
The growth that's happened within my team, we have a lot of good players, and I feel like it wasn't like our team was just like terrible. I feel like it was more of a confidence thing. In my team this year, we've grown a lot more confident. We keep up with teams. We keep up with teams that should be blowing us out, that blew us out last year, and that's what I'm very proud of our team with the not giving up part, as I mentioned earlier. We just don't give up when like how we used to do it all the time, and yeah, we don't even do that anymore. We keep up with teams, and yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And, keep up the good work. That's all I got to say. My gosh, if you have another game like this last week here, we might be talking to you next week too. But, you've got Bayless this week. They kind of know what to expect a little bit. So I'm sure there's going to be some adjustments. But what has been some of the things that Coach Masters has talked about this week that you guys want to accomplish against Bayless?
Well, one thing he's been hard on is not thinking that we got the high road early, not thinking that we're just going to go in this game and win. He wants us to go into this game and compete, and that's a big thing that he's been on. But we're changing some plays around, putting people in different spots. Last week we didn't have one of our best tacklers, Davion Sides. We didn't have him last week, and this week he's going to be playing defense, so that's going to be a big up on our side.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. Well, congratulations on being player of the week this week, and good luck to you Friday night against Bayless.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That is Keenan Thomas from the Bishop DeBerg Cavaliers. Our next matchup here is DeBerg 54 and Bayless 12. Let's start with Jeff on that one.
Well, I tell you what, people keep asking me, why are you guys so concerned about DeBerg and all that stuff? It's such a great story for those who have followed along with the Cavaliers the last few seasons and seeing the utter futility they've had to go through and how head coach Chad Masters has kind of stayed the course and, worked with his son quarterback Jack Masters. But now they've started to develop some talent around though, Jack is a player, and winning this game, winning 3 in a row, they get to 3 and 5, 4 and 5 on the season. It's just hosting their first playoff game. It's a great story, but let's talk a little bit about Keenan Thomas. I mean, my goodness, he was everything in this game against Bayless. He's got all the touchdowns, 6 total touchdowns, 187 yards receiving, a touchdown on defense, and Matt probably has the better stats on that. But talk a little bit about Keenan Thomas. I know you're very high on him, Matt.
You look at what he brings. He's a great end-around rusher, if you will, as they kind of do it's like a little pitch option, because a lot of times they don't really run a standard reverse where it's an actual handoff, where it's just a little toss flip to him, if you will, to where that adds up to Masters' passing stats as opposed to just actual running stats. But either way, what you have right now, you have Keenan Thomas is the only wide receiver in the area stats with over 1,000 yards receiving. He is also the highest yards per catch receiver with those wide receivers that have over 40 plus catches in the area. So this young man from DeBerg has gone from a team that, until that Afton game in week 3, they were on a 38-game losing streak. And, to now have a team that is hosting a playoff game, a team that has put together a 3-game winning streak, and to piggyback on your initial comment, Jeff, also DeBerg is part of our, streaming package, but they also do have that local tie, playing teams like Windsor, playing teams like DeSoto, to where they, as a byproduct of that scheduling, do fall within our realm of coverage. So they're covered, one, not because of just, that relationship, but because of their relationship with us here at Livestream STL. And you know what? And that's a kudos to those coaches too, that, we're not just a Jefferson County based production team. We would like to venture more up into St. Louis County, and it's those ADs up there at those schools and those other, coaches getting together with that collaborative effort to say, hey, if you want live stream coverage, this is the product and this is the place to stop at. And Coach Masters was one of the first up in the St. Louis area to do so, and I think that's a kudos to him and to what he's done with you and our staff here, Ray.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. Coach Masters is a class act, good guy, and we're very grateful that they're a part of our package here. So let's continue on here. Let's go with Eureka 21, Hazelwood Central 19, Chaffee 41, Grandview 6, or Orchard Farm 35, DeSoto 7, and let's start with Matt.
Real simple, real easy. Eureka, the 2-point win over Class 6 Hazelwood. Casey Hobelman, I think we will talk about him a little later on, but like the biggest bright spot in that game, and at least just, stat-wise, was a modest 9 for 15 rushing with a TD, but the passing, 14 of 16, 249 yards with a TD, no interceptions. Orchard Farm, DeSoto, the biggest takeaway for me, Eli Tebow, the young man, is playing with essentially, if you watch enough baseball, he's got one of those like sliders oven mitts on one hand from a potential fracture of a wrist arm. He had 9 solo tackles with that thing all taped up. So, DeSoto, they're going to be taking on Festus here next week. And for me, that's the biggest takeaway of those 3 games, Jeff.
Yeah, the only thing other than mention in the loss, 41-6 Chaffee over Grandview. Nashmore continues to be the hammer for the Eagles. 34 rushes for 136 yards, perhaps the only bright spot in that game for the Eagles.
Okay, moving on to our next games here. Northwest 39, Melville 7. Northwest gets a win. Yay for Northwest. Seckman 35, Webster Groves, Goose Egg 0, Ladue 34, and Fox 6. Let's start with Jeff on that Northwest game.
Well, Northwest, I mean, I'm so happy for them, and mainly for the players, obviously, over there. The Lions, a long record of futility when it comes to football. They're really dominant in some other sports in the area, but football's never been one for them. But to get off the schneid, Nick Yunkins and Wes Knuckles, 2 of their best players. Nick Yunkins, though, 12 for 140 yards, 2 TDs in that game. Northwest going on the road and getting that victory in the last regular season game. That's a feel-good story for everybody.
Hey, we're catching up here with Coach Scott Gerling from the Northwest Lions. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good today. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, I'm sure you are doing good. It's been a little while since we've seen a win. We've been rooting for you all the way up from on the other side of the county over here. But last week you came so close to getting over that hump, and this week you finally got it done. Big win over Melville, 39-7. Go through a couple of the stats here. Great games out of Brendan Kelly, out of Nick Yunkins. Kelly was 19 for 94 for a couple touchdowns. Nick Yunkins, 12 for 140 yards, a couple touchdowns. You got a safety to start the game with. You got some special teams here with a field goal as well, it looks like here. Take us through the game and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I thought, for the most part, it was a pretty complete game from our kids. They really stepped up. We challenged them a little bit, like you mentioned the previous week. and doing some things that we thought to be successful last week against Webster Groves, and we didn't quite get to those marks, and we ended up a little bit short on the scoreboard. Left some things out on the field, especially in the special teams game. One or two big plays on the defensive side, but other than that, played pretty well last week. And then this week, we looked at the opponent in Melville and thought there were some things we could do, not just to improve upon as ourselves, but to really limit what they were trying to do. And it was a pretty complete game. The safety was on a punt, so that was another special teams play that was made. Like you mentioned, we had a field goal there. Landon's been a good kicker for us all year long, and the field goals and place kicking and punting and everything that he does for us. Trying to think what else. Although we had an onside kick recovery on the special teams front early on. We again just seeing some things the way they kind of aligned and did in their kickoff return team and tried to take advantage of that early. So happy for the kids, proud of the coaches as far as the work everybody's been putting in. And believing in what we're doing and seeing how close we were getting to really, and not just get over the hump, but it was, I won't say anticlimactic, but at the end of the game, we knew what was going to happen in the last couple minutes, and is a nice way to seal it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, Northwest football has struggled over the last few years. And, coming into this season, I know, you have expectations, you have goals, you have things like that in place. Has there been more buy-in, as you've gone through this season to finally get over that hump and get that win?
I think so. You'd have to believe so when you've been struggling for the majority of the year, and then the last few weeks have not, two games that you win one, and then you have the other one that was really close, and you had every opportunity to win. And to a certain extent, we'll be honest, I think our kids really wanted it, but they sometimes forget there's some little things that you have to do to win games, especially against opponents who are pretty well matched as far as physically and everything else we're doing across the board. So, but yeah, I don't think buy-in's ever been an issue. I think they've been seeing the results getting better at times. The middle of our schedule was brutal with some of the teams we played in there, and Marquette and Lafayette, who were really Seckman, who were all three really top-notch teams. Parkway Central, we throw them in there as well as a non-conference game. So we saw some really, really tough competition. It's great to see the kids getting some, being able to reap the success of the hard work they have put in. And I told them after the game, I go, you guys didn't deserve this game today. You actually earned it. Everything you've done in the offseason and this leading up to it this week during the season, it's not something you deserve. You earned every minute of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you on that one there. You have Oakville coming up here for the first round of district playoffs for district, your Class 5. We've seen Oakville a little bit. They've been kind of up. They've been kind of down. What do you know about Oakville, and how do you plan to attack them?
Well, we played them earlier. Played them earlier in the year, a few weeks back. They won the game. It was a tight game for the first half or so. They did a really good job defensively, limiting what we were trying to do that week. We also did some good things at times against their run game. Their little RPO pass scheme gave us some fits, and they made some big plays. So I know we're going to go in, get together as coaches here in a few hours and kind of finalize some things, but we're going to try to be a little bit better, obviously, than we were a few weeks back. I know we got some guys back healthy who didn't play in that game, so that's going to help us. We have to believe we got a lot better results the past couple of weeks, at least that we feel. Offensively, we kind of shored some things up defensively and on the special teams. So we'd like to think we're a better team than we were the first time we saw Oakville. And if we can keep it close for a half against them the last time, and we keep it close all four quarters this coming week, again, maybe it comes down to that one or two plays that we were on the short side of a couple weeks back, but we can flip that around and have and get on the W side of the scoreboard.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, appreciate catching up with you. Congrats on the win last week, and good luck to you this week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys' coverage.
That's Scott Gerling from the Northwest Lions.
Seckman over Webster Groves, as expected. Tommy Kabar does his thing. 23 for 162 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Dean Meckel, he's a beast. He's got to be one of the best defensive players in the county. 11 tackles overall, 1 sack in that game. And Ladue and Fox, I thought Fox would have a little better showing at home against Ladue. Aiden Smith, 24 for 137 yards and a touchdown, but it wasn't enough. Fox's offense is just a little too one-dimensional to have a lot of success this year. But it's Ladue, an interesting team. They've had some really good games, some up and down games. They finished at 5-4 here going into the district layoffs.
Yeah, totally agree with all those assessments, Jeff. And then, Meckel and, the Lappy brothers on defense, they pose an impenetrable force. Again, looking at Tommy Gabar finishing the season 10th in the area and rushing with 1,247 yards. I say he's not just a quarterback. He's essentially your running back. And then, when they go to throw the ball, 38 of 48 on the season, 79% completion. That in and of itself is just astounding. Along with the 6 TDs and the no interceptions, that's to me almost pinpoint accuracy. With a ball that we're the club that doesn't throw the ball a whole lot. He's accurate whenever it counts, whenever he needs to. And if he had the stats to qualify, his passer rating of 161 is only second behind Carson Boyd from Ritter,
Wow.
who really, all his stats are basically double, triple those yard-wise, passing-wise of Gabar's, but just not enough to qualify. And so that's why I say when you look at his rushing numbers, that's the bigger picture for what he brings to the Seckman offense.
Absolutely. Moving on. Herculaneum 6, Crystal City nothing. We'll talk a little bit about that and preview next week. Hillsboro 56, Poplar Bluff 25, St. Vincent 28, and Jefferson 21. And we'll just go on right up. Let's go right on down. We'll knock the rest of these out because the other two were kind of blowouts here. Windsor 55 and Cuba nothing, and St. Pius 51, Perryville nothing. Let's go with Matt.
Yeah. Wow. The Herky Crystal City game, again, that's why they say you got to play a full 48 minutes. So for 47 minutes, 59 seconds, this was a 0-0 ball game. Herky with just about a second left, scores the only TD of the game to win this 6-0. The Hillsboro Poplar Bluff game, you talk about the long trip down to PB, down to Poplar Bluff. Didn't seem to bother the PB sandwich for what they bring to the table with Peyton and Preston Brown. St. Vincent Jefferson, I like to get a lot more of that from Jeff as Nate Breeze made his way back to the lineup. Was 6 of 7 receiving, had an INT on defense. You look at Cooper Frisk, the job he did rushing 457, caught 3 for 49 yards. The passing day for Cole Williams, though, you look at 14 of 26, 123, a TD, 2 picks. I was impressed, and I know that, Cuba's kind of been getting stepped on week after week, but, for Coach Funston to come out with a 55-0 win over Cuba, but I think it was the 311 yards rushing where they had 3 running backs that were at least 74, 75 yards plus a piece. St. Pius, Justin Lane doing what Justin Lane does, second in the area in scoring. Had a great day against a Perryville Pirate team. But I would like to get Jeff's take on the St. Vincent Jefferson game specifically, just because of what he brings to the Blue Tiger media side over there at R7.
Well, first of all, congratulations to the St. Vincent Indians. They were my pick at the beginning of the year to win the conference, and they did come through. That game was a seesaw affair. They traded touchdowns back and forth all the way to the fourth quarter. St. Vincent gets the score. Jefferson tosses the INT. Game over. Tyler, also, I want to mention that game. Tyler Crater stepped up, the sophomore, 10 tackles in that game. Here's the problem. Jefferson, as the season has gone on, guys, they have not been able to run the ball with any great authority. And that has been their Achilles heel. And as the season progressed and teams figured that out, they were able to adjust their defenses to that. And, losing the last 2 games now, yes, they're 7-2 on the season. Yes, they get the number 1 seed, but that coupled with the fact that they're still not 100% healthy. Nate Bree's not 100% healthy. They've got 3-4 players that they will use this bye week, hopefully, to get healthy, because they're going to need everybody on deck against St. Pius. If St. Pius wins their opening game and they have to go to R7, that is going to be a first aid ice bag game like you would not believe, fellas.
And Jeff, real quick, because I know we're going to be talking about the playoffs and the brackets coming up. One is St. Vincent. Oh, I guess let me go back. Jefferson, when you're talking about the running game, is it because they don't have a back of any size, or is it just with maybe like continuity of the linemen where they're not able to create holes for the backs? And number 2, after seeing St. Vincent in person, are they a beatable team?
Sure, they're a beatable team in Class 1, but no one has been able to figure them out in the I-55 conference. They run the spread offense. They've got the best quarterback in the league down there. Young man's name escapes me at the moment.
Schaff.
The problem with I'm sorry?
Schaff.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with R7, their Achilles heel is between the tackles, Matt, on both offense and defense. And we saw it in the Grandview game when the Grandview came back in the second half and had a chance to beat R7 at R7's home. They running up the middle, just pounding the ball with Nash Moore and company. That is the weakness in the team right now, and that's something they have to address.
Stack the box and put pressure on the middle of the front.
Okay. Right.
Rutherford is the place to shop for your next vehicle. We have a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles to choose from, and they're all priced to sell. Not in the market for a new car? We have a great service staff that can keep your car in top shape. Also, be sure to check out our parts department for your next car project. Once again, we're Rutherford off I-55, the Herculean Auto Mall.
Ruther.com.
The Breeze Dental Care Team consists of dedicated individuals who are caring, kind, and friendly. Our staff is here to ensure a pleasant experience during your visit to our office. Our team includes experienced and energetic people whose goal it is to communicate well with our patients and provide the best care possible. Providing preventative, restorative, and cosmetic care. Schedule a visit by calling 636-937-3030 or find us on the web at breezedentalcare.com.
The House Bar and Grill at your Festus Pasta House is your place to watch all local high school sports live. That's right, I said live. Come in and enjoy all local high school sports brought to you live on our 5 big screen TVs from Livestream STL. Also enjoy our happy hour menu, which includes half-price pizzas, discounted appetizers, and drink specials. We are the best place to gather for your local high school sports brought to you by Livestream STL at your Festus Pasta House on Highway A, where it's always a great time.
Hey, y'all, it's Jeff from Case and Bucks. Thanks for watching the games today. We appreciate all your business all year long. Don't forget, we've got awesome wings, we got amazing burgers, we got salads like you wouldn't believe. Come check us out. We have barbecue on Thursdays. We have Southern Nights on Wednesdays. We've got bingo on Tuesdays. We can't wait to see you all. Thanks a bunch, and we look forward to having a great summer with y'all.
It is time for our honorable mention segment here from Oakville. Ethan Venable, 5 rushes, 104 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 12 tackles on defense. For Northwest, Nick Yunkins, we mentioned him earlier, 4 of 11 passing for 54 yards, 12 rushes, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Kudos to Northwest on their win again. Eureka, the Eureka Wildcats. Casey Hobelman, quarterback, 14 of 16 passing, 246 yards and a touchdown. And, we always talk a little bit about Hillsborough here and there, and, they'll have the week off this week. But Preston Brown had another great game, 14 rushes, 108 yards, 13 of 17 passing for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. Matt, who do you want to talk about here in these honorable mentions, my friend?
Well, I think just Nick Youngkins in the Northwest, coming up with their first win of the season. I mean, the other teams in this doing what they do, Ethan Venable, your guys like the PB sandwich over there at Hillsborough, Eureka doing what they do. But I think just to give a shout out to Northwest because, again, a team and a program that, again, as you had said, they pride themselves on some of their other athletics, but to be able to still go out, to be able to put the pads on at a program and, to be able to eke out that first win of the season, means a lot. And and that's something just to build on going into the playoffs, as opposed to just being a team that, is just going to be seen as a mop-up team or something like that, where, you get to go in with a win, at least, at some point. Why not at the last game of the regular season go into the postseason on a winning streak after the way the season's been?
Right. Jeffrey.
It's a whole new season that starts this Friday for sure, Matt. Everybody's 0-0 as we head to the district playoffs. My only player that I really want to talk about this week is Ethan Venable. And Matt has stated this several times before. Once you get to that Class 6 level, there's very few two-way players around in the area that make an impact on both sides of the ball the way Ethan Venable does. And I think that that is really special. Your body at that level takes a pounding. Your Class 6 guys, let's face it, guys, they're bigger, they're stronger, and not necessarily faster, but the physicality of having to play both ways in the Class 6, that's my hat's off to the young man.
Hey, I'm just going to say I totally agree with that point, Jeff, because as you move up into the classes, when you get to Class 6A, on neither side of the ball do you see linemen like me at like 5'9", 195. I mean, because I know whenever we were playing Hillsborough, I mean, it was like everybody was like 6'1", 6'2", 225 plus, and that's me playing both sides of the ball going against those guys like that. So, again, as I call it, once you get to playing big boy football, I mean, that's serious business, and be able to play both sides of it, yeah, definitely tip of the cap.
Let's take a look at our Week 10 schedule here. We've got Kennett at Herculaneum. That will be our live stream STL Game of the Week. DeSoto will be at Festus. That'll be our live stream STL South Game of the Week. Fayette takes on Crystal City. Grandview at Lift for Life. St. Pius travels. Actually, Priory is traveling to St. Pius. That was a mistake on our end there. Bayless is at DeBerg. Windsor at Union. Sykeston at Perryville. Potosi is at North County. St. Mary's is at Fox. Parkway South is at Eureka. And Northwest is at Oakville. What we're going to do, gentlemen, is we're going to go through each one of the brackets here. Let me dial these up here real quick. But as we pull it up, we're going to go by district here. We're going to start with Crystal City here with District 1 here. I'm sorry, St. Vincent is also in that particular bracket as well. They're the number 1 seed, but Crystal City the number 2 seed. And we'll just, talk a little bit about each one of these real quick, and I'm just going to turn it over to you guys here. Let's start with Jeff on this one.
Well, gentlemen, interesting bracket. I think St. Vincent deserves the 1 seed slightly over Crystal City in that district. It's going to be very interesting. Russellville and Fayette, the 8-9 teams, sort of a play-in game this Friday. And then the rest of the district will play the following week on the 3rd. So St. Vincent will get the 8 or 9 seed, depending on the winner of that game. Crystal City, the 2 seed, goes against Harrisburg in that game. For Harrisburg on the season, they're 3-6. as the 7th seed. But this is a really interesting bracket in here in Class 1 District 2, because I would say any of these teams 2 through about 7 are all capable of beating one another. So there's going to be a lot of parity in here. Now, I'm hoping as a Jefferson County guy and an I-55 guy that we see Crystal City and St. Vincent clash for the title. That would be the ultimate goal for us, and it'll be in our viewers. But don't count Tipton out. Van Far's come on very hard, very strong during the rest of the season, and Louisiana always gives Crystal City and St. Vincent a hard fought battle.
Jeff, I think everybody in this bracket has at some point played against Crystal City to the point of it's a 14-8 ball game. I look at Van Far. Crystal City lost to them 14-8. They lost to Louisiana 12-8. But I look at that Russellville-Fayette play-in game, and after doing the Crystal City-Russellville game, I know Crystal City beat them 42-8. But if Russellville puts things together against St. Vincent, to me, I know it's, as you look at brackets, in the NCAA, things like that, where you would have like an 8 playing a 1. But to me, it's just an intriguing matchup that I've got that one highlighted just in case, because if you get a team like St. Vincent maybe looking ahead to play like Van Far, something like that, that Russellville team is going to sneak up on you. And after seeing a number of games prior to that Crystal City game, they run a spread offense as well too. So I just have that one highlighted.
All right, let's take a look at our next bracket here. That's Class 2, District 2. And you'll see the important teams here that we have on here. The number 1 seed, Jefferson and Festus. And then St. Pius is the number 4 seed. So, Matt, we'll just stick with you here. Give us your thoughts on that one.
Well, before we look ahead to Jefferson at St. Pius, Pius has got to get past Priory. And sometimes we talk about like a smoke and mirrors, things we see on paper that, yes, Priory's 3-6. But here we go. Priory at Class 2 has lost to Class 6 Hazelwood West, lost to Class 5 St. Dominic, beat Class 3 Lutheran South, lost to Class 5 Country Day, lost to Class 3 Westminster and John Burroughs, and have lost to Lift for Life. So you look at the 6 losses that they have racked up. This isn't like they lost to, powder puff teams in their same class and district. 4 of their 6 losses have been to Class 5 or Class 6 ball clubs. So you look at a team that has basically had the snot beat out of them by class. Like when you're playing 4 classes up for most of the year, I would almost say playing St. Pius would almost be a breath of fresh air for Priory, because to me, when I looked at their schedule, that was like standing in the on-deck circle, swinging that weighted bat for forever. The bat still is the same weight length when you get up to the batter's box, but it just feels completely different. And I think that's the way when you're going to see player for player matching up on that Pius side. Don't be surprised if Priory gives St. Pius a bigger run for their money than what it seems on paper.
Can't disagree with that at all, Matt. This is a probably the most interesting bracket of all, in the sense that Jefferson gets the 1 seed at 7-2. However, Jefferson only achieves that number 1 seed based on a couple of different variables here. Number 1, Lift for Life finishes a 1.10 district points behind Jefferson. The reason being their game against, I believe it was it Farmington or Hillsborough? That game was considered an exhibition game for some reason. That did not count in the record. So that's why they only have a 5-3 record versus 7-2. If that game counts, they garner enough points to leapfrog Jefferson. Plus, St. Pius at number 4, you take away their self-reported infraction against Herculaneum, gives them a different record, a 7-2 record, and St. Pius being the Class 2 team, Herculaneum being the Class 3 team, St. Pius theoretically would have leapfrogged everybody and been the number 1 seed in this district, even though Jefferson beat them. So very, very intriguing. Jefferson, they get the best possible scenario in getting that week off, trying to get everybody healthy. In that, but yeah, if St. Pius can get past Priory, that's going to be a big matchup. And I'm telling you right now, guys, it's so hard, and you guys know from playing in the past, to beat a team twice in the same season like that.
Yep.
There are no surprises now. Head coach Frank Ray over there for the Lancers, he's going to know exactly what he needs to do to beat R7 at home. And if R7 doesn't, bow up a little bit, get a little physical, they're going to find themselves in trouble real quick against the Lancers this time around.
Yeah, this week off is the week for Jefferson to heal as many wounds as they can, to go in as healthy as they can possible for whoever they're playing next.
Absolutely. Let's move on to our next class here. Class 3, District 1. Herculaneum Black Cats are in that particular division there in that class. They'll be taking on Kennett. A surprise win gets them the number 4 seed and hosts for round 1 against Kennett. So, Matt, your thoughts?
That Kennett game is going to be interesting because Kennett's lost to Valley, and who hasn't besides Seckman. They lost 56-0, but this is a Class 3 team that beat Sykeston 22-20. So again, even Kennett coming in at 4-5. I've got them doing a number on Herculaneum. Sorry to say, I know a lot of the people that graduated with me on my side, they're probably saying, "What, are you crazy?" But I think that tougher schedule that Kennett has had might bode them well. And looking at that Dexter game in that other bracket, I see them playing St. Gen, and then to me creating maybe like a Park Hills Dexter matchup to see who takes the champion in that particular bracket, Jeff.
Well, and it's very interesting. Once again, fallout from that Herculaneum St. Pius game. Herculaneum awarded the victory in that game. Had they not gotten that from St. Pius, they probably aren't hosting a first-round game this week. I agree with you. Kennett, the problem with Kennett that Herky's going to run into that they don't have an answer for is overall team speed. The Kennett team is much faster, probably one of the fastest teams in this district with the exception of Park Hill Central. So Herky's going to have a tough way to go, but it is a very intriguing matchup, and Herky's defense has been playing very well lately, so we'll see what happens.
And that game will be on live stream STL, so yes.
There you go. All right. Our Class 3 District 2 matchup looks like this. We'll have Bishop DeBerg there at the number 3 seed, and I guess that's basically all that we're kind of taking a look at there. They're taking on Bayless this week for round 2 here. So, Jeff, your thoughts?
Bayless versus Bishop DeBerg, round 2 Electric Boogaloo here. Key thing for Bishop DeBerg to come out this week, fellas. They don't have to win by X amount of points to get a district home game. They don't have to worry about that. What they need to do is get out of this game with a W and get out of this game healthy. Those are the only objectives for DeBerg, and if that means they have to run the ball every single play, so be it. Against the Bayless defense, they've proven they can beat Bayless. That's not an issue, but getting out of this game healthy should be their number 1 priority, because they're going to have the number 2 seed St. Clair the next week, and they're going to have to travel to St. Clair on the 3rd, and that's going to be the battle for the Cavaliers.
I totally agree with that, Jeff. Great assessment that, right now DeBerg, they just need to take care of business, take care of Bayless. And at the end of the day, you know what you do? You check off that box for playoff victory. And I can't tell you how many people in that program would be satisfied. I mean, not just the fact that they got there, but now to chalk up a W in a playoff win category, especially for the seniors that could be going out in possibly their last game.
Absolutely. Our next district here, Class 4 District 1. See Hillsboro on top there. We've got Festus playing DeSoto this week, and Perryville at Sykeston, North County, and I'm sorry, Sykeston's at Perryville, and Potosi is at North County. Matthew.
I'm not saying this is going to be an easy setup, but I think whoever comes out of that North County Potosi game playing Hillsboro should take care of business in that deal. You look at the Festus DeSoto bracket down there, see what Coach Schmidt has up his sleeve. But once again, second time a team plays a team in a season. Festus, though, I don't even want to call that a toe stubbing against Jackson. I mean, all you did is you played a solid game against a team 2 classes up above you, tried to get out as healthy as you could. Playing the winner of the Perryville-Sykeston game, I would see them playing Perryville, beating Perryville, and that will set up a final between Hillsboro and Festus. That's the way my little snow globe shakes out on that one, Jeff.
Well, I'm glad your snow globe is working properly, Matt, because I agree with you on that. The only thing I want that sticks out in this, Perryville getting to host a first-round game here against Sykeston, assuming that can get past Sykeston. Yes, they will most likely have Festus next. I got to say, Perryville Pirates coming in at their Class 4 team playing in the I-55 conference, which to me that's still a head-scratcher, but that's for another time and another debate. The most important thing is, I had Perryville as one of the better teams in the I-55 this year, and they've got some really interesting and intriguing pieces of their puzzle. They've got 2 really good wide receivers, a quarterback who can throw the deep ball. So on offense, they bring some things to the table that'll be very interesting. Are they interesting enough to be able to do something against Festus? Maybe, maybe not. But let's hope that they can give the Tigers a good game in week 2, assuming that both Festus and Perryville can get through their week 1 matchups.
Absolutely. Moving on, Class 4 District 2, you see Sullivan on top, Union, Windsor, Pacific, Afton, Gateway, and Roosevelt, but we're kind of keeping our eye on Windsor there. They could pull out, a little bit of a win over there at Union. What do you think there, Jeff?
I think this is a very winnable game for the Windsor Owls. And how about that? Windsor with a chance to win a first-round district playoff game, and I can't even remember how many days. Of course, a winner of that game is going to have to play number 1 Sullivan. Sullivan is an excellent, excellent team this year. But the rest of this district, I mean, you look at the, Pacific ranked number 2. There's really not, this is not a very strong district. I'll just come out and say it this year. And I look at all of these teams in this district, and I think, you know what? Windsor's got as good a shot against Sullivan as any of these other teams. What do you think, Matt?
I totally agree with that. That was, about as spot on, like taking the words right out of my mouth. That Union coming in at 3-6. One of their losses was to Sullivan, 34-27. So you have that number 4 Union team lost to Sullivan by only a touchdown. Sullivan's a team that they beat DeSoto 57-0, and they also beat North County 40-14. So again, on paper, Sullivan looks tough, but I got to tell you right now, if Windsor can rack off that 311 yards rushing like they did last week, because when you look, further down the line against Pacific, Afton, they got beat by 40 to DeBerg. Gateway, STEM, they're 5-4, and Roosevelt, we had done that game where they beat DeBerg 28-23. But you get to that second game there, that Sullivan-Windsor game, circle that, highlight that one, because I totally agree, Jeff. That could be a winnable game. I think if the Owls protect their nest and again can keep running and using AJ Patrick like on the end around, much less like you see the way DeBerg does with Keenan Thomas.
Excellent. Yep. Let's move on. Or did you get a rebuttal?
Well, I just wanted to say, AJ Patrick is sort of the difference maker for me, Matt. And you're exactly right. If they can find a way to get that man out that in space, much like Jefferson does with some of their players. Like a Cooper Frisk. You get them out in the flat, get him out around the end where he can use his athleticism, use his speed to make things happen for Windsor. I think that is the key to their success.
All right. Moving on, Class 5, District 1. You see Poplar Bluff, Webster, Farmington, Cape Central, Melville, Fox, and St. Mary's. Fox and St. Mary's matchup. That should be an interesting one there, Jeff.
This is such a weird district, guys. That the number one team in the district with a 5-4 overall record, but obviously by virtue of their strength of schedule, Cape Central comes in at 6-3. They're the number 2 ranked team, and then you have a 3-6 ranked team in Fox coming in as the 3rd seed, obviously on virtue of their schedule as well. This district is up for grabs, in my opinion, and Fox should have no problem getting by St. Mary's. This is a down year for St. Mary's, a rebuilding, reloading year, if you will. If Fox can do what they do best and run the ball with authority against St. Mary's, they should get through this game. And I think this is a very winnable bracket. Webster Groves at the 4th seed. They're still rebuilding. They've got some victories under their belt this year, but I think Farmington will beat them. I think Farmington will go into Webster Groves and beat them, the 5 versus the 4. And you're going to see, Farmington versus Poplar Bluff then, and that could be a very interesting matchup, the 5 and the 1. Cape Central should have no problem against Melville, and that would leave you with a Fox at Cape Central matchup in week 2 at Cape Central. But I don't know. This district is really up for grabs, in my opinion, with the exception of the number 1 seed, Matt.
Yeah, I totally agree, Jeff. You look at what Poplar Bluff brings to the table, but again, I agree with the initial assessment that you look at Fox and St. Mary's. Those two teams just playing anyway in that district. Yeah, it's about a 25-ish, 30-minute trip for those two teams to play each other. But as far as the district goes, you look at St. Mary's. If they had to travel to Poplar Bluff, you're looking at about almost a 4-hour bus ride from St. Mary's to play a team in your district, which is, I guess as far as class districts, the way that breaks down, that's as close as you can get in the state. But again, you look at Cape Central 6-3. To me, that's kind of like the straw that stirs the drink in that bracket. They lost to Hillsboro 35-28. They lost to Poplar Bluff by a touchdown, 42-35. And they beat Farmington, shut them out 35-0. So you look at Fox getting past 1-7 St. Mary's, creates that Fox versus Cape Central. Very important game, and I think Cape may come out of this, but if Fox and Aiden Smith and Cam Underwood can put together 2 games, and I say, them looking at playing Poplar Bluff, you're gonna, and after seeing the way Poplar Bluff and Jackson played, Poplar Bluff, don't sleep on them. That even though their record, again, I say is kind of smoke and mirrors, and I think they can hang with anybody because you know how those big boys are down south.
Absolutely. Our next Class 5 District 2 matchup here, Rockwood Summit on top. Man, they are rocking. Parkway West and Parkway Central. Our Eureka Wildcats we've been covering. They're the number 2 seed, taking on Parkway South, Ladue, and Chaminade. Chaminade a little bit down this year, but Matt, Eureka looks like it could be a Eureka Rockwood Summit matchup in this particular district.
Mr. Ray, that's exactly the way I have this one shaking out. That you look at that first game between Parkway West, Parkway Central. So Parkway is going to win that game, but they're going to lose to Summit. That's already that's going to be a done deal. Eureka, the Wildcats, play the other Parkway school, Parkway South. Should have no problem with that. But yeah, it's that Ladue Chaminade game. But I still think whoever comes out of that to play Eureka should be able to take care of business with either one of those teams. Ladue 5-4, Chaminade 4-5. But it's that Rockwood Summit school that is just imposing their will on virtually everybody in that bracket and everybody that's on their schedule, Jeff.
Well, it's interesting. Eureka's another team that in the past has been so dominant with the run, and they've had to change some things around this year, Matt, because they haven't been able to establish the run like they've had in the past. And they've had to throw the ball more. Hobelman's been a big factor for them, Casey Hobelman, the quarterback. Uh, the Eureka, if Ladue gets by Chaminade, Eureka Ladue game should be a tough, hard fought battle. The winner of that having to play Rockwood Summit at Rockwood Summit. And Matt Ray will tell you we spent a very frigid, windy night a couple of years ago for the district title, Eureka and at Rockwood Summit, and that was a classic battle between those two teams. And we hope to have a replay of that one, right, Ray?
Yes, sir. I'd love that. That'd be great. All right. Our final bracket. Let me pull it up here. Class 6, District 1. You see the Seckman Jaguars on top there. Oakville Northwest playing tonight, or Friday night. And then Jackson and Lindbergh. Lindbergh will be playing at Jackson. Seckman, it looks like this might be a Seckman-Jackson matchup pretty easily there, Jeff.
Yeah, I would think so in the long run. Oakville's going to come out of that Northwest game. They should, if they do what they need to do, they'll get the victory. And you'll have an Oakville-Seckman matchup, which would be fun. We might put that on our radar for November 3rd. But the winner of that game is going to face Jackson unless my Lindbergh Flyers can somehow upend them, the 3 versus the 2 seed. And Seckman-Jackson, that would be the matchup we would love to see on November 10th, guys. This is some big boy football here with these teams in this Class 6 bracket. And if you come out of this in good shape, and last year Seckman was able to come out, and obviously they moved on to play the Class 2 winner in Marquette. And this year Marquette, the number 1 seed once again in District 2. So could it be a rematch of last year? Possibly. That could be very interesting, but Seckman's got to get by a very good Jackson team first here, who's moved up, as Matt said, to Class 6.
Yeah, that Jackson-Lindbergh matchup is the key to the whole thing right there. That Lindbergh head coach Nathan Norman, he was a 94 grad of that Jackson team that I covered that went to state for Class 4, went to K-State, played in the NFL. Their wide receiver head coach is Reagan McDowell, who was on that 94 team. So 2 former guys from that 94 team are going to square off on the coaching side. So I think whoever comes out on top of that has definitely going to earn their ticket to punch to play against the Seckman team. But as I said earlier, watching that Seckman team and the way they performed against Festus, again, I think that defense from Jackson, and if they can spread that out, that Wessels is going to create all kinds of havoc against Tommy Gabar and Seckman if it does get to that, if barring a Lindbergh Flyer victory in that Week 1 game.
Jeff could hope for that, right?
Go Flyers.
There you go. There you have it. Well, that wraps up our Week 9 going into Week 10 for Upon Further Review. Again, don't forget our matchups this week look like this. We will be over at Herculaneum High School. Kennett Indians take on the Herculaneum Blackcats. That'll be a 6:45 pregame. And then we'll also have the DeSoto Dragons Festus Tigers game over at Festus, 6:45 on the call. Matt will be over there on the call over there. I got Tanner on my side. You're calling over there at Festus, and should be a fun week. And we'll be back again next week for Week 10 and their results. For all of us here at Upon Further Review, Matt Bates, Jeff Whitener, myself, Ray Halbrook, have a wonderful day.